the Chris Tucker that we got now is Epstein Island Chris Tucker, not Smokey.
Oh, Lord.
If I didn't know no better, I'd tell you he's the greatest.
Oh, y'all ain't know what happened to Chris Tucker? Well, it gets a little deep. See, Chris Tucker had a problem. He films this movie called Rush Hour, and suddenly he becomes the highest paid actor in Hollywood. Not comedy actor, the highest paid actor in Hollywood. Every script in Hollywood wants a piece of Chris, but Chris starts turning down roles. Why, you ask? Well, let's just say they were asking him to do things that he wasn't a fan of.
And with Chris Tucker and his involvement in Friday.
He making with Jackie Chan with that Rush Hour making $20 million. So I wouldn't go back to Friday either.
So that was it. It was just a money thing.
Oh, it's all about money.
Chris Tucker is finally spilling the tea about the real reason he left Hollywood, and no, it wasn't because he was a greedy man who wanted more money than he was already making. It was because they were asking him to do other things like spreading those cheeks wide open for freak-offs, and he wasn't going for any of that. This man went from being the highest paid actor in Hollywood to now being blackballed into the ground. He can't even get himself a role in a Tubi movie. That's how bad it is for him. They wasted no time in replacing him with other actors who were willing to do what they were asking, and word on the street is that those actors included Martin Lawrence, Kevin Hart, and Jamie Foxx. And we all know exactly how it ended for Martin and Jamie. Jamie got poisoned not too long ago, and Martin was out here running in the streets, screaming that someone was trying to take his life. Chris initially held back on telling people the reason why he actually left the industry, and after seeing what happened to Martin and Jamie, we can see why. In fact, a few years ago, when he asked why he refused to reprise his role on Friday, he said he simply didn't want to do sequels anymore. Now, even though Chris said he didn't want to do sequels anymore,
I know Cube want to do another one because Cube, of course, it's like, you know, he kind of created Fridays. And I was in the first one. Yeah. And Cube, after I did the first Fridays back then, I never thought about doing sequels. I always wanted to do a good job and keep moving to the next movie. So Cube asked me back in, I think it was 96 or 97. He said, Chris, we want to do another Fridays, man. And I was just like, nah, I don't want to do another Fridays. I want to do like Eddie Murphy and them did. I want to do Money Talks. I did Money Talks, and then eventually at Rush Hour, I said, I don't want to do another. And he said, what? You sure? I was like, nah, I don't want to do another. So he couldn't believe it, but he kept moving, and he got Mike Epps, and they went and did another one, and it was great. He did two of them, and they were great.
That was a lie, because right after he turned that down, he appeared in Rush Hour and went on to do Rush Hour 2, 3, and 4. So it clearly wasn't about the sequels. There was something else going on that he didn't want to say. Chris was and still is very religious, so he didn't resonate with a lot of things that were happening in Hollywood, and that's why it was so easy for him to leave all that money and dip from the industry as soon as they started asking him to do some crazy things. In fact, he revealed that one of the many reasons why he didn't want to do Friday was because most of his co-actors in Friday were smokers, and that alone was enough for him to say no to being in the movie.
Has Chris Tucker not talked about being in next Friday? Because I know it was Mike Epps, but
we wanted him. You know, he turned it down. Yeah, we wanted to pay him $12 million to do that movie.
What the
And he
fuck?
turned it down. He said it was for religious reasons. He didn't want to cuss, and he didn't want to smoke weed on camera.
Once Chris started turning down these roles, they didn't sit around waiting or begging him. They just replaced him with people who would actually do what they were told to do. And as I said before, that included Martin Lawrence, Jamie Foxx, and Kevin Hart. The industry needed a funny black comedian, and this time they wanted multiple at the same time so that none of them will feel special enough to be picking and choosing roles like Chris did.
I had to go to Martin Lawrence, Kevin Hart, Jamie Foxx. They were saying, hey, we'd love to do them. And to be fair, they did amazing jobs at those roles. Now, since they did such a good job, they didn't really need Chris anymore. But that was fine with Chris. When I say he was turning down movies, I mean he turned down hundreds of millions of dollars worth of movies. And it's literally just as simple as he didn't want to do it. He didn't want all that came with it. Other people decided to fill the role. Win-win.
The first to go down was Martin Lawrence. Back in 1996, Martin was arrested after being picked up at a busy intersection in Sherman Oaks, California, holding a firearm and screaming at passing motorists that someone was trying to off him. According to one witness, Martin also yelled, "Fight, don't give up, fight the power," as he was being taken to the hospital. Despite how alarming the things Martin was screaming out was, the media didn't mention a word about it and only talked about how he had a manic episode and was being hospitalized. The tabloids also kept referring to Martin as troubled, and implied that he was on substances. But this is where things get even more disturbing. The doctors who treated Martin denied these claims and made it clear that there was absolutely no medication of any type involved in Martin's breakdown. And get this, just 3 years after this whole fiasco, Martin almost lost his life after suffering a medical emergency. And then not too long after that, August 1999, he fell into a coma after collapsing while jogging in hot weather. Luckily, Martin survived this too, but when he woke up, something was different about him. His career has never been the same, and apparently he has been battling multiple illnesses ever since. Jamie also got his share of it back in April of 2023 when news broke that he had been hospitalized after suffering a stroke.
I cannot even begin to tell you how far it took me and how it brought me back. I went through something that I thought I would never ever go through. And I know a lot of people were waiting, or wanting to hear updates, but to be honest with you, I just didn't want you to see me like that, man. I want you to see me laughing. Now, by being quiet, sometimes things, get out of hand. People saying what I got. Some people said I was blind, but as you can see, the eyes are working. The eyes are working just fine. Said I was paralyzed. I'm not paralyzed. But I did go through, and I know they talk about people crying on videos. You can do take two, but I'm not gonna do a take two. It is what it is, and if you see me out from now on and every once in a while I just burst into tears, is because it's been tough, man. I was sick, man, but now I got my legs under me, so you're gonna see me out. But like I said, I just want you to remember me for the jokes that I crack, the movies that I make. Some of them good, some of them ain't. I think I got a good one out. And the songs that I sing, man. And then, some people were talking about I'm cloned.
Word on the street is they were trying to take Jamie out and that his stroke was caused by a poison he was given. This poisoning rumor was started by Diddy's former bodyguard, Big Homie CC. He blatantly accused Diddy of being responsible for Jamie's illness, and he claims that they got Jamie by poisoning him with cyanide. Big Homie claims Diddy tried taking him out too by poisoning him with the same substance on 2 occasions, with the second attempt getting his brother also poisoned in the process, but he made it out of both attempts alive. As if all this wasn't wild enough, he said the reason why Jamie was and still is secretive about the details of his stroke is because he reported Diddy to the FBI for poisoning him, but he didn't have enough evidence to back it up, so the case was never made public.
I know he poisoned Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx reported him to the FBI because of it. I know that's a fact.
So, wait, you're saying that Diddy poisoned Jamie Foxx and that's how Jamie Foxx got sick?
Jamie Foxx reported this man to the FBI because of this. Facts.
Wow. Okay, and how did you hear about this? If you can tell me, or if you can't, that's all good. But you know what I'm saying, like, well, people are they're gonna want to know, you know what I'm saying, how this happened, or you know what I'm saying, what's the backstory to this?
Well, by the time this dropped, this is going to be in the stratosphere. It's going to be in the ether by the time this drop. You could probably look it up right now. But by the time this interview drop, this is going to be out in the ether for sure. These people poison people, bro. I've been poisoned 3 times. Why am I testing positive for cyanide? You feel me? Why do I had pneumonia 3 times? So people like, man, why he breathe like that? Because I only got 1 lung. And then I had a car crash. I got 1 nostril permanently blocked. And I done had pneumonia 3 times. Somebody been trying to poison me. My brother got poisoned with me. The little lady I was bodyguarding, she got poisoned. Like, somebody is carrying on these antics. These is facts.
Is there any idea why Diddy would want to poison Jamie Foxx?
You get called to testify if you on camera and some of this footage, and you want to make it a little bit easier for yourself. It's ways in this industry people go about doing things. Just know I tested positive for cyanide 3 times. after drinking some bottles in the club. Once you get hit with the cyanide, it turns into pneumonia. I had it 3 times.
Dr. Schutte came out. He said, well, we didn't find where it was coming from, but he is having a stroke. He may be able to make a full recovery, but it's gonna be the worst. My youngest daughter, she's 14. I didn't want her to see me like that. But she snuck into my hospital room with her guitar. They said I was paralyzed. Said I couldn't walk.
Now, unlike Jamie and Martin, Kevin hasn't had any mysterious illnesses, but Katt Williams says he's a sellout and that he was brought in to replace him after he turned down deals in Hollywood to save his soul. He said Kevin's come up was not organic and that he is just an industry plant being funded by the white man.
In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was.
So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why, you know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job. Why do you think Gary Owen can't cross over and he already white and been in comedy for 25 years?
He then went on to put Kevin on blast for being a Hollywood lapdog and accepting to take on movies and roles that he had rejected because they made him out to be a homosexual man. But here's the thing though, y'all, from what Katt was saying, it sounded like he and Chris went through the same thing. But when he was asked about Chris, he went off on him for also being a sellout, just like Martin, Jamie, and Kevin, and even accused him of using all those roles he turned down as a strategic cover-up for his dirty industry affiliations.
The Chris Tucker that we got now is Epstein Island Chris Tucker, not Smokey.
Oh, Lord.
If I didn't know no better, I'd tell you he's the greatest. I don't care what you say. To be confident and not delusional is a real skill. Most of these confident people we see is really delusional.
Well, you don't think they asked Chris Tucker to come back in the second Friday? Smokey was all in Smokey. There ain't no Friday without Smokey.
We all agree to that, and there's no next Friday without Friday, and there's no Friday after next without Friday.
We talk about the role because you said that they don't...
Here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing. Chris was allowed to make the decision. At the time that this is happening, Katt Williams is known for smoking weed. Willie Nelson is known for smoking weed. Right. Snoop's known for smoking weed. But none of us is really known except Willie. And I'm saying, Chris Tucker didn't want to be the poster child for smoking weed. He don't smoke like that.
Right.
He in the church. He Michael Jackson's best friend. Christmas. Michael Jackson called him Christmas. You ever met a man that gave you a little nickname like that?
No.
Me neither.
As usual, people had their own thoughts, like this person who said, I think Hollywood wanted Chris Tucker to start doing some things that are really immoral, and he said no by stepping back from the roles he was offered. Good for him, living life on his own terms for Jesus Christ's sake, and what an awesome man to honor his mother and father and remember who he truly is and how he was raised. Another person said, Chris knows Hollywood is a wicked place. That's why he said him and Chappelle had similar walks. He will never sell out to the elites. It's deeper than money. But now I want to know your thoughts. What do you think of Chris Tucker running away from the industry despite all the money they were giving him? And do y'all believe Katt Williams' claims about Chris being a sellout? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to click here to watch this other messy video.